What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Inside the One podcast with your boy J-Hoff and Spitz. Guys, if you haven't been watching this series of podcasts, you are missing out. We've been going over everything from the draft to free agency, and now we're doing top 10 favorite players of all time today. So, real quick, do you want to say anything, Spitz, to the boys?
What's up, boys?
All right. So, yeah, guys. Real quick, make sure you hit that like button for us. We appreciate that because these videos don't get that much love compared to all the other ones. And hit the sub button if you haven't already subbed. Yeah, and definitely hit sub on Spitz's channel as well. This one's going to be on my channel, obviously, so make sure you hit his for some love too, because half the stuff is going to be on his channel. And speaking of how we do that, we might actually have this go on its own channel next week. So guys, if you want to keep watching this podcast and just stay tuned for everything that we have to cover every single week, be sure to look in the Discord because we're probably going to make our own channel for this. Just it's because of the algorithms, and not to get too deep into it, but I think it deserves its own channel. But yeah, so let's just get right into it. So guys, we're going to go over free agent signings first, as always, because there's a couple of good ones that happened. One major one. The first one is going to be the Cowboys starting defensive lineman Antoine Woods is signing a one-year deal with the Colts. Interesting. Any thoughts on this one?
No, not really, but the next one, like the Colts are having a fantastic offseason, I think.
Yeah, the next one, yeah, that's really where I probably should have started with that one, to be honest with you, because the next one's huge. Pro Bowl Eric Fisher is signing a one-year, $9.4 million deal with the Indianapolis Colts. So not only do they have Woods, but they have Eric Fisher protecting Carson Wentz. That is a huge signing.
And they drafted some offensive line as well. So they're just like, they're ready to go. They did a good job. They, like I said in like the first podcast we ever did, they're not even paying Carson Wentz right now. So who gives a shit, bro? Just go all in. See if you can, make a play in the AFC. AFC is rough, but they're doing everything they have to do to try at least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Like
trying to think about... Go ahead.
If Carson Wentz is good, this team is really goddamn good after all their offseason moves.
That's all I was thinking. Like, if you think about what Eric Fisher brings to that offensive line, like, it's like, okay, well, the guy just retired. Let's plug in another Pro Bowl left tackle. Nothing never changed. So it's just like that line is going to be just as good, if not better. I mean, I know he's having a little bit of injury issues, but they said that they're going to rest him as much as possible. They're not in any rush to get him started. But I mean, just a fully healthy Eric Fisher is going to be good for the Colts for sure. Moving on to the Lions. Well, no, he was on the Lions. Kerryon Johnson, he got claimed on the waivers by the Eagles. So, not sure why they did that because they already had Miles Sanders. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just a 1-2 punch. I don't know.
They
Interesting.
got a lot of like average running backs over there now. But the Lions are just getting rid of everybody, bro. They're starting fresh. Anybody that's been on this team for longer than 3 years, get out.
It's wild.
Kerryon Johnson's good. He's not bad.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like Kerryon I had him on my fantasy draft for a while there, and he did really good. And it's like every year they'll draft a rookie, ride that rookie for that entire year, and then draft another rookie and then ride that rookie out. I don't understand their running back situation, but hey, whatever. Good for the Eagles, I guess. Next one. So we got Neville Hewitt is signing a one-year deal with the Houston Texans. We're just going to skip over that because Texans are
Rest in
questions.
peace. Rest in peace, Neville Hewitt. It's been real, bro.
It's been real. And the last big news of the free agency signings is the Chiefs are giving Will Parks a one-year deal worth $1.13 million. So reinforcing the secondary there.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really need him, but hey, whatever. Chiefs, you do you.
You do you, bro.
So this is interesting. So Lions center Freg, this is a guy that actually stays. Like he's not going to leave, even though he's kind of new. Frank Ragnow agrees to a 4-year extension, making him the highest paid center in the NFL. And he had 2 years left on his deal. So I mean, they definitely didn't need to do it right now. Like he still had 2 years left to go, but they were like, you know what? Sign another 4 years, and here you go. Here's the bag. So,
Corey Linsley's pissed. Corey Linsley is super pissed.
I mean, what do you think?
Wouldn't he have
Frank?
been like when Corey Lindsey signed with the Chargers? Was he the highest paid center for like the last month until
He
this, or
was.
what?
He was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's pissed.
Sounds like who was the Green Bay lineman who was paid really nice, and then he got topped. He was like for like a day or maybe I don't remember.
Was it Bakhtiari?
Yeah, yeah, David Bakhtiari. Yeah, so he was the highest paid at his position, and then he got topped. So it's just
Yeah,
like these guys are
it's
pissed,
rough.
but hey.
It's rough.
And I'll let you take this one because this was interesting this past week here.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, he got interviewed. And of course, if you play for the Packers and you get interviewed, you're going to get asked about Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. And Devontae Adams is a free agent after this season, I think. It's either this season or next season. I didn't write it down, but it's coming up. And he basically beat around the bush, but said, in layman's terms, I'm out if Aaron Rodgers isn't here. He didn't say it like that. He was like, I'd have to look into some things if, things changed around here. No, that means that if Aaron Rodgers is gone, so am I. Devontae Adams isn't interested in losing. Devontae Adams isn't interested in anything. And actually, what's really interesting is if you take a look at the Broncos cap situation, just because, they're the favorites at this point in time to get Aaron Rodgers, whether it's this year or next year, because Aaron Rodgers is like guaranteed to leave after this season if he plays, because he's like, this was already, I've watched some Packers like podcasts and stuff, and like the whole plan this whole time before he won MVP was that his guaranteed money stops after this coming season, and they were gonna trade him and start Kevin Love. That was genuinely their plan. But then he went out and won MVP, and they were like, oh shit, wait a minute, we don't want to do that. But Aaron Rodgers is kind of already like, no, bitch, you made it clear that you wanted me to leave, so now I want to go. So anyways, long story short, you look at the Broncos cap situation, and I mean, it's every bit possible that the Broncos actually can sign Devontae Adams and trade for Aaron Rodgers. Just saying.
Oh my Lord.
Just throwing that out there. If they manage their cap well after, like, if they trade for Aaron Rodgers right now or in June or whatever, if they manage their cap well until Devontae Adams is available, I mean, is Devontae Adams going to say no? I mean, he was just the best. He's been the best wide receiver in the NFL in the tandem with Aaron Rodgers. So if you have the opportunity to stay with Aaron Rodgers, wouldn't you do that? I would.
Way to shoot yourself in the foot, Packers front office.
Yep. Drafting Jordan Love, like, big L. Because he knew Aaron Rodgers knew the whole time. Like, he went out there to win MVP on purpose. Like, I think he genuinely, because, and again, on this podcast, it was Tom Grossi's podcast. I enjoy watching him. Anyways, he was talking about how, Aaron Rodgers was kind of falling off a little bit in 2019. And I think we all saw that, and we're all kind of like, what's going on there? And so that's why the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and they had this 2-year plan to, like, Jordan Love learns, Aaron Rodgers continues to fall off this cliff, and then we trade him when his contract is cleared. Well, joke's on you because you pissed Aaron Rodgers off, he won MVP, and now he's put you in a shitty situation. So just a really poor handling of that whole thing.
You know what?
So
that
far.
kind of puts everything in a full circle for me because when he was on the Pat McAfee show, he was talking about how, like, he hasn't really pushed himself this hard in a while. Like, he went back to the gym, he's feeling good.
Yeah.
He's working harder than he's ever worked. He said he was like, I'm maxing out. I haven't hit these numbers in a long time, and it's just like, what gave him this motivation to do this? Like, someone just doesn't do this out of nowhere, and now it's a full circle for me.
His team was doubting him. His franchise doubted him. That's a shame. Because you look at the Patriots, and they never they were like, yo, Tom Brady, we can ride with you as long as you want, my guy. We're good. Oh, you want to leave now? Okay, that's fine. We'll trade you now. That's cool. Thanks for everything.
For real. Rodgers like, hold this real quick, and then
yeah.
Wow.
Like, if you're the Packers, like, how you like I think about the Saints, right? Like, Drew Brees, he started slowing down like 2 years ago. After like the Rams year, 2018, that was like the last time that he was really had the arm strength and was like really, really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just been like good for the last 2 years. But anyways, like the Saints, hello, what quarterbacks have we drafted? None until now. Like, there was no replacement plan. There was no, we're worried about Drew Brees' fault. No, He's the franchise. He's been the face of the franchise. He's going to stay the face of the franchise until he decides to leave, and then we'll figure it out. We've had backups. We signed Teddy Bridgewater just in case. We signed Jameis Winston just in case. We've had Taysom Hill the whole time. So I get maybe if you're the Packers and you didn't have that, that could, change your position. But, dude, Aaron Rodgers in 2019 was, 36 years old? Did you really think he was going to fall off a cliff when
No.
Tom Brady is 49? Not really, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't. Aaron Rodgers had one bad season, and the Packers were already freaking out. You know what I mean? And it's just like, come on, bro. Tom Brady has a bad season. Tom Brady had a bad season in 2013?
Yeah.
And the Patriots were just like, oh, well, we'll just ride this out into the sunset. And the sunset hasn't set yet. So stop giving up on your players, man. Stop it. If you ride Aaron, if you ride with a quarterback and they retire and you suck for 2 years, who cares, bro? Who cares? At least you didn't have to deal with this situation. And Jordan Love might not even be good for all we know.
Imagine that.
If you're gonna, because my thing is like, you drafted Jordan Love. Like, if you were really gonna do this, why didn't you just like trade up into like a big time quarterback instead of just Jordan Love? You know what I mean? Weird.
Packers. I don't know, man. What an L of a time this is for them. Anyway, so yeah, that's just the NFL news that we've had the past week. Now we're gonna get into the meat of the podcast here, and it's our top 10 favorite players. How do you want to do this? Do you want to do like my 10, then your 10, and then work our way up to 1?
I say we just alternate 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8,
okay,
etc. Kind of see, because we're gonna have. Obviously, guys, we're like the same age almost. We're going to have similar players on our thing. So it'll be kind of interesting to see like where we have them ranked in different spots and stuff.
I'll let you go first. I mean,
okay, sweet.
Why not?
So we're just going to go from 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
We did put these in order, kind of. It's
I tried
hard
the best I can.
Kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to order your favorite. Because, guys, first of all, to be very clear, it says favorite players. Okay, please don't think we're trying to rank the top 10 players of all time, okay? It's literally impossible for anybody in our comment section to come in here and tell us that we are wrong about our top 10 favorite players list. So
this
stop.
is opinion, straight up opinion based.
Opinions and who we liked watching. It's as simple as that. They don't have to be the best players in the world. Anyways, with that being said, number 10, Adrian Peterson. My guy. Besides my favorite team, which, by the way, we limited our choices from our favorite team to like 2 or 3. But anyways, Adrian Peterson, my favorite running back to watch easily of all time. Easily, bro. I mean, just how can he not be? Like, his rookie season, guys.
Yeah.
He sets the all-time single-game rushing record with 296 yards. His rookie year, bro. How does that even happen? And then he just never slows down. And now he's like 35 years old, and he's still like sometimes your number one running back. It's crazy. Yeah. Never seen anyone like him in the NFL. Now, I will say the last 2 years of Derrick Henry is coming kind of close to that, but Adrian Peterson started right off the bat. Adrian Peterson is an example of the type of person that you can draft as a running back in the first round, because there's always that conversation of like, oh, should you really waste a first round pick on a running back? When it's Adrian Peterson, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Sometimes, like a guy like Najee Harris, it's kind of like, it's a stretch. But Adrian Peterson, when you watch him and you're just like, because if you watched him in college, guys, you goddamn knew. There was no surprise. There was no secret. I'm surprised he didn't go number 1. But that would have been a little bit outrageous, I guess, for a running back to go number 1. But when you watched him in college, you knew that this guy might be the best running back ever. And so, yes, you pick him early in the first round. I don't care what anybody says. Great job, Vikings. Shout out to him for fumbling twice in the NFC Championship game, though. I appreciate that. We needed those. But other than that, stud. And I'm sad that he didn't work out in New Orleans. I'm still sad about that, because it would have been cool to be able to rock an AP Saints jersey and actually have it mean something, you know? But it is what it is. But yeah, he's my number 10. He was number 10. You know, like running backs don't win MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just don't. But especially now, like in this era that we're in now, like, good luck, because quarterbacks are just going to dominate. With a 17-game season,
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are going to go nuts. We're going to have 5,000-yard seasons, 6,000-yard seasons. Like, good luck winning your MVP as a running back. So for Adrian Peterson to do that is pretty crazy. So, yeah.
Wow. All right, let me see if I can top that passionate number 10 right there. My number 10 is the X Factor himself, Brian Dawkins. He's my favorite free safety of all time. Okay. This guy is a five-time All-Pro. He's Hall of Fame. Like, when I thought about my top 10, there's a common theme with these players for me, and this is like kind of like the child in me kind of talking right now, but it's just like they need to be flashy. They need to have personality. They need to bring like fireworks on the field, so to speak. Like they just need to light up the field. It's just you just want to watch them all the time making plays. You don't care about anybody else on that team but that one player. And Brian Dawkins on the Eagles was that guy for me. Man, this guy, he was the heartbeat of that defense. I mean, him and Andy Reid together, like that was just disgusting. And then he was just the hardest hitter on that team, period. Like
He was.
guys, I promise you, if you look up probably the hardest hits ever by a safety, Brian Dawkins, it's got to be like maybe top five. Like he went for your head. Like it got to the point where like he would knock people out, he would knock himself out. It was crazy. This guy, I mean, the kind of talent that he brought on the field at a second round pick, and he was 61st overall, by the way. Like just he played like a first round talent in the second round. So it's like I'm one of those guys that says like, well, if he's not first round, he's not worth it. But it's just like I gotta think about my favorite players of all time real quick. And I'm like, you know what? Some of these guys that I thought about as my favorite players, not all of them were first round picks. And it's very possible that you can get a guy of this caliber in the second round. So it's just like I need to sit here and remind myself that he's just, you can get somebody like that. And I mean, just man, I didn't really like the Eagles a whole lot just because I lived in Baltimore, Maryland my whole life up until like maybe a couple years ago, and just to hear about the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Ravens all the time, like, oh, we're the better birds, and da 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 da. But I'm just like, you know what? Anytime we went against him, it was either, Ed Reed and Brian Dawkins were, spoiler alert, Ed Reed's on my list, no surprise. But yeah, guys. Brian Dawkins, X Factor. Love that guy.
Yeah, bro. Brian Dawkins used to make the whole Philadelphia Eagles hit hard as shit too. It wasn't just him. Like he brought this whole attitude to the Eagles.
It was like a chemistry boost, like hard hitting times one.
It really
Everybody
was
got it.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like I remember we played them in Reggie Bush's rookie season, and he almost got decapitated. And it wasn't Brian Dawkins. It was just like that was just the mentality that the Eagles had the whole time he was there. It was like, we're gonna hit the shit out of you, man. We're gonna hit your ass. That's why they were so good.
Yeah, man. That defense back then. Michael Vick was on the same team as Brian Dawkins at one point, wasn't he?
I'm not sure if Brian Dawkins still on the Eagles when Vick was there. He might have.
I don't know. I can just I'm just trying to remember because I think of the best players of each team. It's like, can you imagine D-Jax
he was there
with Vick and then Brian Dawkins on the same team at one point?
Dawkins was for sure that was the McNabb and like young Deshaun Jackson and those guys. He was on the Super Bowl team, wasn't he? The one that got to the Super Bowl had to be with McNabb and those guys. Lost to the Patriots.
Like you're asking me to go back almost 10 years. I don't know how long he's been out of the NFL at this point, but
you're fucking old.
I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old, guys. I mean, I'm not in my teens anymore. But guys, Brian Dawkins, number 10 for me for sure.
Yeah, man. So at number 9, and the only reason that this guy's at number 9 is because he didn't play that long. Calvin Johnson, gotta be Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson, I mean, just look at, there's so many like memes online of like Calvin Johnson. I think it was against the Saints actually. Calvin Johnson lined up and there was 3 fucking corners over there in front of him. Mm-hmm. Like the whole defense was in front of Calvin Johnson. Nobody cared about anybody else on the Lions. Megatron himself. I'm a Transformers guy, so I love the nickname.
Yeah, that was awesome nickname for him.
I mean, just guys, if he would have played his whole career out, which basically means if he didn't go to the Lions, he would have been, oh God, he would have it would have been hands down the best receiver ever, probably. Like you got Jerry Rice and you got Randy Moss and all these guys up there, but dude, Calvin Johnson, bro. You just couldn't guard him. I mean, you throw a Hail Mary at Calvin Johnson, he's coming down with the ball. It was just Like Matt Stafford's a really good quarterback, but damn, did Calvin Johnson make him look even better when they were together, bro? I cannot believe that the Lions franchise is so fucking bad that they had Matt Stafford with Calvin Johnson and couldn't do anything with it. What a shame.
I know. It's
The guy's gonna get into the Hall of Fame. He only played like 8 seasons or whatever. Like, I mean, how good do you have to be? And first of all, also, excuse me, Lions, you couldn't find 36 more yards in his record-setting season to get him to 2,000. 36? Really, bro? 1,964 yards. This looks ugly. Should have been 2,000. But yeah, Calvin Johnson, man, that was one of the only like he was. I don't know if you guys play fantasy football, but like back in those days, you really just wanted a running back in the beginning, and sometimes even quarterbacks that early, like back then, because fantasy football was a little bit newer still, and it was kind of like working out the game. Calvin Johnson was number one pick every time. I don't care what anybody says.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. We had the same pick at number 9, Calvin Johnson. I couldn't. He had to be in my top 10, and I mean, this guy, like, he's already. I mean, Spit's already said enough. I mean, he is Megatron. Just I remember watching him on the field one time, and they put up this crazy. I will never forget the way that they compared him to a garage door. They were like, he has the arm, what was it, the wingspan of a garage door. So he was all like, if you stretch out your arms as far as you can from left to right, he could cover the length of a garage door. I swear to God. And I was like, there's no way a human can be built like that. There's just, it's ridiculous. And it's just, Calvin was one of those guys where it's just like, it kind of changed the way teams drafted cornerbacks and traded for cornerbacks. Like, you had to know where this guy was on the field at all times, and you always had to have your best guy, maybe even double team him, along with your best cornerback. It was just crazy because he was like this year, he was year in, year out. This guy was ridiculous. I mean, just the thing about Calvin to me is just like he had like, it was like if you could clone the perfect wide receiver, it was Calvin. Like, he had the size, the speed, the quickness, the ball skills, great hands, great man. Like, guy, like Calvin was just awesome. And to be honest, I only have, I think, maybe 1 or 2 other wide receivers above Calvin. It's only because he didn't play in the league long enough, and I didn't get to watch him as much as I wanted to. So he wasn't there for my entire time of watching football. But it's just like, man, Calvin was awesome. I loved watching him.
It's just like, look what happens now, guys. Like, anytime a big ass wide receiver gets drafted, who are they getting compared to? Like, as soon as DK Metcalf takes his shirt off, what do you say? Oh my God, Calvin Johnson.
That's Calvin. Oh, Kyle Pitts. He's a big tight end. Oh, Calvin Johnson.
Kyle Pitts is actually who I was just gonna say. He literally fucking like mirrors Calvin Johnson. That's the one guy where I'm just kind of like, because DK, no. First of all, anybody that ever says Chase Claypool and Calvin Johnson in the same sentence again deserves the death penalty. Okay, and then DK is close, but he's just different players. Like, DK is just fast. He's big and fast. Calvin Johnson was like, I'm gonna catch it in your face every single time, and there's nothing you can do about it. DK is more of just like, I'm gonna burn you and just get fucked. So I'm interested to see where Kyle Pitts' career goes, because I really think he should play wide receiver, but we'll see. But Calvin Johnson was just like a league of his own. And it's really hard because everybody's like, who's the best receiver of all time? It's always so hard because
it's hard.
Receivers play differently. Like, you can't compare Calvin Johnson to Jerry Rice. You just can't, because they were different. Calvin Johnson was go up and get it. Jerry Rice was, I'm going to get open, and there's nothing you can do about
separation.
it. Yeah. So it's just like, how do you even compare that? But
I mean, we could sit here and throw stats at you guys all day, but I mean,
in terms of favorite to watch, bro, there was nobody at wide receiver that you wanted to like in those probably like his 5 or 6 years of prime. There was nobody you wanted to watch more than Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, man. Crazy player to watch. All right, we'll move on to 8. We'll move on. I could sit here and talk about Calvin all day.
For real. Okay, so for number 8, this is the Saints fan in me right here. I gotta put my man Tracy Porter on there. Listen, Tracy Porter. If you watch the Marshawn Lynch run, you'll see Tracy Porter get absolutely annihilated, and that's okay, because you know what, my man single-handedly, for real. Like, if you like, everybody remembers the Super Bowl pick, right? It's been ranked. If you watch, NFL's top, plays of all time or whatever, it's like number 50 or something like that. And it's like in Super Bowl plays of all time, it's in the top 10 or whatever. Like we all understand that. What they forget about is the man also picked off Brett Favre on their game-winning drive to send it to overtime in the first place, and that's the only reason we even played in the Super Bowl. So not only did he win the Super Bowl, he also won the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl. That's one of the most legendary back-to-back, same situation, same play, basically. I mean, the Vikings are... I think they're in field goal range. Maybe they wanted to get 5 more yards just to be sure. And Brett Favre kind of forces a pass a little bit farther than that, and Tracy Porter just yicks it. You know what I'm saying? And then Tracy Porter is getting cooked all game, cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked by Reggie Wayne by this slant, just cooked. And then we get into the fourth quarter, and Tracy Porter says, "You know what? This is going to be a slant, isn't it?" And just jumped like one of the most beautiful route jumps you'll ever watch in a big time moment like that. I mean, Peyton Manning, not for a split second did Peyton Manning think that anybody was jumping that route. He just dropped back, and when you play Madden and you're running slants and you just know that you're just going to throw it, like that's what it looked like. Peyton Manning was just like, "I'm throwing this. Nobody can do anything about it." And Tracy Porter was like, "No, thank you." And that being like, it's the Saints, and they'd never been good. They've never won a Super Bowl. They were only 3 years removed from Hurricane Katrina. Like, this was this whole bunch of young guys. We weren't supposed to win that game. We weren't even really supposed to be there. People said the Vikings were going to beat us. And it was just like, say what you want about all the bounty stuff, but Tracy Porter wasn't doing it. And he made the 2 back-to-back biggest plays in Saints history. Crazy stuff. And I'll never forget the iconic run back camera angle where he's pointing like, "Let's go home, boys. Take this trophy back to New Orleans." I want a poster of that somewhere one day. When I have some money, I'm buying one because, listen, we ain't been back, okay? So that's like the single greatest play. Fresh. Yeah, that's like the single greatest play in New Orleans Saints history. There's a lot of great plays in that game. Lance Moore, like on a 2-point, was it a 2-point? No, it was a touchdown where he like does like a front flip and like reaches the ball over the back of his head to cross the line just barely. You have Jeremy Shockey getting a 2-point conversion just barely. But Tracy Porter, because let's be honest, Peyton Manning's driving down the field and winning the game. Let's be real, guys. Come on. Yeah. Like there's no way we're stopping Peyton Manning on a game-winning drive in the Super Bowl. But Tracy Porter was like, "I'll take those. Thank you." Great stuff. I was only a Saints fan for 3 years at that time. So I didn't have quite the emotional connection I do right now. But like when I go back and watch that now, the chills are on another level, bro. It's crazy. I want to cry. I'm just like, that is literally the best sports moment like ever for me. I don't know. Shout out to Tracy Porter, man.
Phew. That was good. That was a good explanation.
Yes, my guy.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to try to beat that. So there was one guy that, the very first game that I watched all the way through, and I wasn't sitting there asking my dad about every single thing. I kind of watched it. My very first game was a Super Bowl. And there was just one guy that had me watching him the entire time. And it was the Sheriff, okay? Peyton Manning versus the Bears was my very first game, my very first Super Bowl I ever saw. And ever since that game, I've been very, very NFL brainwashed, I guess, because at this point, that's all I talk about and that's all I think about. But guys, Peyton Manning, there's so many memories of Peyton Manning why he's number 8 for me. Like, we can talk about stats, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He did it for 2 different teams. He's MVP, 5-time NFL MVP. He 7-time first team All-Pro. He has the NFL record for passing touchdowns in a game. He has an NFL record for passing touchdowns in a season. NFL record for passing yards in a season. Like, we can talk about all these things, but it's just like, that's not really why. Like, I like him just because of the classic duels that he had with Tom Brady. Okay, me as a Ravens fan, I hated Tom Brady because he always stood in my way. I cannot go to a Super Bowl without going through Tom Brady. Peyton Manning, I liked him a little bit more just because I feel like we could beat Tom Brady. I mean, we could beat Peyton, but we couldn't beat Tom Brady. So I always rooted for Peyton. And you know, there was classic moments with Peyton that I loved him for, man. Like when we had to go against him in 2013 with Joe Flacco, okay? That game was ridiculous, okay? That game was absolutely ridiculous. And I can't remember the time where he had 7 touchdowns. It was an season opening game between Peyton. He threw 7 touchdown passes on my head. Just like between him and Tom Brady, it's just I saw them as like statues. Like I have to go through these guys to get to the Super Bowl, and it sucked. And it's just like Peyton, man. I don't know, guys. He was always my favorite quarterback until I'm going to talk about another guy. But it's just I love the way he played. I love how elite he was, and it's just like if I was ever going to be a quarterback, going in like if I was going to be a quarterback in the NFL, I'm going to model my game after Peyton. It's just like he knew the defense. He could read the defense before. Like he would sit there and look around, and then he would Omaha, and he would change everything around. And he did that about 15 times a play. Like he would just change it, and then his forehead is so big. But there's a big brain in there, and it's just like he's smart, dude. He's probably the smartest guy as far as quarterbacks go. He's a field general. He's just so good at what he did, and it's just like man, just between throwing to Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, to going to the Broncos to Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Like there's just so many classic moments with Peyton Manning, man, and I can
Bro,
sit here and talk about it all day, but man, what a great guy. I wish he still played so I could see some more Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning action. Like, think about it. There could be a Super Bowl if he still played. Can you imagine the Broncos versus the Buccaneers or something? Like, I wish I got more of them. I wish I got more of them. I didn't really sit there and fully acknowledge what I had back when I was like, oh, he's going to be around for a long time. And I'm like, oh, he's retiring? Oh, shit. So it's just like, damn. So, Peyton, man,
Peyton,
number 8, I want to put him higher, but there's one quarterback that I like wait a little bit more, and you'll find out.
Peyton Manning never had the right size helmet, bro. You ever fucking? I just remember him always having that goddamn mark on his big ass forehead, that red
That was way
square
too tight.
from the pad. Yeah, every single time he'd rip
Way
that
too
helmet
tight.
off, and he had this stupid square right there like an idiot. Um, but yeah, shout out to Peyton Manning for that pick six in the Super Bowl. Thank you, sir. But yeah, no, he's great. The only reason he's not on my list is because Peyton Manning and Tom Brady pissed me off because they just got in the way of Drew Brees being able to win MVPs. Like we're sitting here knocking Drew Brees for not having MVPs because he had to play against fucking Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers his whole career. Like it's his fault. But yeah, great player. Love Peyton Manning as a person though. Fantastic on Saturday Night Live back in the
He's all over
day.
the commercials now. I mean, I see him
Yes.
everywhere. State Farm, him and Brad.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
Peyton
mean,
Manning is awesome. But speaking of the Bears and Colts Super Bowl, that's actually the first Super Bowl I watched all the way through too. I'd seen the only other one I can remember before. There was two that I can remember before that because obviously my dad watched the Super Bowl, but I didn't really care. Was the Rams and Titans one that went down to the 1 yard line or whatever,
mm,
and which I can barely remember any of that one. And then the one the Buccaneers won with John Gruden because we live in Florida, but. The first one I actually sat down and really watched was that one, and my number 7 man, Devin Hester, had the opening kickoff touchdown retired. But that was like one of the craziest things. Cause like I
man.
didn't know returning the opening kickoff, bro. Are you fucking kidding me? In the Super Bowl, I mean, imagine you're the Colts and you're the Colts fans, whatever, and you're all hyped for the Super Bowl, whatever. And this man, Devin Hester, just silenced everybody. They lost, of course, because of the Bears and they had Rex Grossman. Like they had no shot at all. I know they had the best defense, but they had Rex Grossman. Let's be honest. But to even give your fan base hope at all by returning that opening kickoff, I'll never forget that. Right? I mean, it was just crazy. And of course, he ended up leading the league all time in kick returns. Why people kicked it to him even 20 times for him to have 20 return touchdowns blows my mind. Like, if I'm playing against prime Bears Devin Hester, I'd rather kick the ball out of bounds and take my penalty to the 40-yard line, to be honest, than to give him a chance to return it. So. Shout out to him. He didn't do anything besides do kick returns. He could not play wide receiver at all. But you know what? Who cares? You put 140 points on the board as a kick returner. That's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, for real.
Just like the electricity of a kick return. You don't see it as much anymore now because of the new kickoff rules. They moved it up, make it harder to
It sucks.
not be a touchback and stuff. So we're never going to see anything like this guy again. we have good kick returners, like you have like Deontay Harris and guys like that, but you're never going to have Devin Hester again because of the rules, and it's unfortunate. But god damn it, was he fun to watch?
He was. And I'll tell you one guy. So we're on number what? Number 7?
7, yeah.
All right. So yeah, you want to talk about someone who's fun to watch? There's this guy. Okay, as a Ravens fan, I saw this man twice a year, always catching balls on my head. And you know what? The guy literally changed his name to his number. Okay, like there's just nothing more exciting than this guy, and it's Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. This guy, like, you know what? Like I said, as a Ravens fan, I don't like the Bengals. You know, just naturally, division opponents. You know, like we're always just grown to think that we cannot like this team, no matter what. It's just a thing. We don't know why. It's just but no, this guy. I mean, just the way that his personality. It's like, yeah, he played really hard on the field, and it's just like he caught everything. He has all these crazy stats. Like, yeah, he's a 2-time All Pro. He's 6-time Pro Bowl. Just, you know, he has the Bengals records and records, but it's just like what he did off the field. He was just him and Terrell Owens, man. Like, it was just always like a battle of who can be crazier off the field, and with the salsa and just always just making jokes. It's just, man, like when I think of Chad, it's just like he could be the most exciting player ever to play. Period.
Yeah.
Because like he was like the Deion Sanders of our time. Because
His
Deion, he was all like,
celebrations.
I'm prime time. I'm going to celebrate on you. I'm going to talk a lot of trash on the sideline. I'm going to talk to the fans on the sideline. But I wasn't around for Deion. That's why he's not on my. He wasn't in my era. But I was around for Chad. And dude, like his crazy touchdown celebrations, I just loved him, man.
Didn't he like fake
85.
propose to a cheerleader at some point?
That's what I'm saying. Like, just I don't remember every single thing that he did because we're talking a little bit of time ago now at this point.
Yeah,
But I mean, he did some crazy stuff for
he was
celebrations.
legendary.
And this guy was
Him,
just awesome to watch.
him and Randy Moss are the reasons why like the NFL banned celebrations for a short period of time.
Terrell Owens
Like,
too.
yeah, Terrell Owens, like those three guys like
Ruined
forced
it.
the NFL to like. We're back now. We kind of have more, stuff now, but there was like a solid like 8 or 9 year period where these guys, because of them, we couldn't celebrate anymore. But yeah, good stuff. I have him on my list too later, so I'm not gonna get too into it. But man, you gotta love Chad Johnson,
It's
bro.
just
Gotta
crazy
love him.
because like you wanted to see his celebration more than the actual touchdown. That's kind of like what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get at here. It's just like you just want to see what he does after the touchdown. Like you don't even care about how he gets a touchdown. You're just like, okay, what is he going to do now? Is he going to
facts.
propose to somebody? Is he going to bring a field and dance around with him? Or is he going to pull? Is he going to take his Hall of Fame jacket and dance around with that? Like we don't know. Is he going to pull something out of the sock and write an autograph for somebody? We don't know. It's
Yeah,
just, man.
crazy man. Speaking of celebrations, man. Now obviously, but this guy had reason to celebrate, but he also did some crazy shit, man. At my number 6, I got my boy Randy Moss.
Oof.
Um, I mean, he really mooned after a touchdown. He really like
Get
fake
lost.
fake pulled his pants down. But yeah, I mean, he literally has a term named after him, getting mossed. Like if you're, for those of you that are little kids and don't know what moss means, I'll break it down for you. Basically, when you're a little hoe and you think you're gonna break up a pass, and the receiver just goes up all over your shit and brings it down instead, that's a moss, and he invented that. Um, Simply unguardable, fast as fuck boy. Single season record for touchdowns, right? I think. Yeah,
Yeah. I
23.
mean, let's see. Yeah.
He had 17 as a rookie. And what's crazy about the 23 is like when he went to the Patriots, people thought his prime was over, and he was just like, "Hold my nuts.
This is
I'm
my
gonna,
prime.
me and Tom Brady are gonna connect for 23 touchdowns. We're gonna go 16-0 almost. Well, they went undefeated in the regular season,
Yeah,
but
they did go 16-0.
they did go 16-0. But yeah, man, my man Randy Moss just, he always had that grill. You know what I'm saying? He was always just like a hard ass. And I mean, there's not much else to say besides he was just good. Like, you didn't want to play against Randy Moss. If your team had to go against Randy Moss, you were sad because you knew you were about to get hoed, and there was nothing you could do about it.
It's just
I mean,
crazy.
did he ever even get shut down? Like, I'm trying to think of like, was Darrelle Revis able to slow him down? Because I'm trying to think, like, it seemed like there was no chance of him having a bad game unless the quarterback just didn't throw it to him for some
I
reason.
feel like Randy never got shut down. He probably got slowed down because of guys like high
Yeah,
caliber guys like Darrelle Revis, for example. But I mean,
I mean, he does have the
Not in
second most games.
2007. He never. Not in
Yeah,
2007.
he has 6,400 yard receiving games, so I guess not.
I
Just wow,
mean,
man.
it's the reason why he's such a big deal on Madden is because of what he did in real life. Like for the kids that didn't even watch a day of Randy Moss on the field, and they're like, "Oh, I want him in Madden." Like there's a reason why he's so damn high in the Madden rankings, and
Hmm.
like they don't even announce his name until Christmas. Okay, there's a reason. Randy Moss is just legendary.
Goated, bro.
Man, I get so passionate when I talk about like my top favorite players because like I'm
That's why I
trying to think
wanted.
about nostalgia and my
That's why I
kid.
wanted to do this topic before like we get into the off season stuff because it's just such a fun thing to talk about.
I love it. Love it. Having a great time. Number six. So Spitz already had this guy, but I'm gonna show him some love myself. Adrian Peterson is my number six. Man, I love this guy. I loved him on the Vikings. Just like when he was gone, dude. And
That's
just I
true.
would love like okay, when I was like playing football in my backyard, I would always do the run where he kind of like leans backwards and he kind of just like high steps into the end zone. Like I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many times I did that as a kid. It's just I love this guy, man. He was an MVP, 4-time All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowl. Like this guy was awesome. I mean, he probably wasn't the most like he was just a very what's the word where you're very humble. Okay, he wasn't the guy to talk a lot of trash. Not that I can remember, but it's just like he did everything on the field. He left it all on the field, and he was just the nicest guy off the field. Like even today, like he's over here doing charity work. He's over here helping he's helping kids learn football. Like he's over here coaching just on his free time, and just like he's such a great person all around. Not even just on the field, but man, just I if it wasn't for Dalvin Cook coming in for the Vikings, I would have been like, why would you
Yeah.
ever get rid of Adrian Peterson? Why would you ever? Like the fact that this man still has this kind of caliber game left in him at this age, it's just ridiculous. And it's just like, man, Adrian Peterson. Ugh.
Yeah, what a
I only
guy.
have one running back over him, and that should
Yeah.
tell you a lot. He's my number two of all time, Adrian Peterson.
What a legend. Um, well, my number five, I'm gonna save for you later mostly, but I just want to give him a shout out for some respect. Mr. Ray Lewis. Uh, Listen, just a hard hitting absolute stud, leader of the Ravens, and honestly, like my favorite thing about Ray Lewis was his goddamn dance that he came out of the tunnel with. I mean, that's one of the most iconic things.
Woo.
The most
Gotcha
iconic
chills.
yeah, the most iconic entry like things like rituals of anybody ever. My man would do like a step to the right, slide, step to the left, slide, and then just like
Put your knee
Superman,
up.
just
Yeah.
scream, bro. I mean, it was just got you hype. Even if he didn't pull for the Ravens, it got you hype. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna save all his stories for you. But that's why he was on my list. I just remember doing that dance in my room to hype myself up for no
I think
reason.
everybody's at least tried it one time just to see if they
Yeah,
could do it.
and so yeah, legend.
Shoot, oh man. All right, I'll say I'll keep it down for Ray. I'll keep it down for Ray. But number five, he is my favorite quarterback of all time. He will not be touched as long as I have something to say about it. Maybe Lamar Jackson comes out of nowhere and just blows my mind. But right now and for the foreseeable future, Brett Favre is my favorite quarterback at number five. This man, I love the way he played the quarterback position. Okay, he made the game fun. Like when you think about football, he thought about it as a game. He didn't treat it as a job. He treated it as a game. Like he was known as the guy who would just sit there and just he was known as a gunslinger. Like the gunslinger ability you see in Madden 21, that was Brett Favre. Okay, there should be no other abilities that people can use other. Brett Favre should be the only one that's allowed to use that ability. Okay, I don't care. But anyway, he's a risk taker, guys. He would chuck that bitch up, and if it got picked, so what? Come on, defense. But hey, he did it because it's like there's a possibility Donald Driver and Greg Jennings can come down with that bitch, and it was just awesome to watch Brett Favre, man. Like I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to ever top Brett Favre in my mind, but it's just like, man, it's just what he did in the Super Bowl, and he had 3 MVP awards, and it's just like, man, God, dude, I love Brett Favre. Like honestly, I'll tell you, I'll give you a little story. So growing up in high school, my favorite quarterback was Peyton Manning at the time, and then my buddy, he was a big Packers fan, and he exposed me to Brett Favre. He exposed me, and he was just all like, "Dude, you gotta watch his games," because I wasn't a really big Packers fan. I didn't watch a lot of Packers football, and I would just watch Brett Favre, and I'm just like, bro, he is the best quarterback. You got me sold. And then it's just like because we would just sit there and debate all day long who's better, Peyton Manning or Brett Favre. We didn't care about Tom Brady because everybody hates Tom Brady back then. So it was just like, who do you like more? But no, Brett Favre. I just gunslinger, took chances, made the game fun. Love him. Favorite quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I love him for choking against the Saints. No, but
that's cool, man. He had fun doing it.
It's true, and it's like when you for all the young kids out here, man. When you're watching Patrick Mahomes, just understand that Brett Favre was doing that already. Like, there's nothing new here. You know what I'm saying? The whole throw on the run,
Brett Favre.
No look, throw on the run, risky passes. Like, he was already doing that, man. He just didn't have the social media.
They didn't have the camera angles back then. They didn't have that 4K camera y'all see nowadays, boys.
Didn't have 4K. Didn't have Twitter and TikTok and all this stuff to like beef him up a little bit. But he was the dude back then, bro, for real. Especially with the Packers. Not so much with the Vikings, but with the Packers, bro. Crazy. Yeah, on the number 4, I guess. I have Chad Johnson number 4. I have him very high. I love Chad Johnson for all the reasons Jeff already talked about earlier. The celebrations, the name changing, you just wanted to watch Chad Johnson. And then one thing that you didn't mention that just cracks me up to this day is my man was just like, I'm going to kick this extra point. Yes, I am.
Yes.
Kicker, sit your ass down, bitch. I'm gonna come out here and kick this extra point, and he made it. Like my man's awesome. I follow him on Twitter. He has a McDonald's and Krispy Kreme diet that's just hilarious. He literally is like, "Fuck science, watch this."
Oh, he's all over Twitter.
And I don't know. I love the man. One of my favorite players of all time. Kind of mad he went to the Patriots, but I get it. You know, you're trying to win them rings after you played in Cincinnati for 20 years. Yeah, we already talked about him enough. Just wanted to give him that quick shout out for that field goal. That was hilarious. Love my man Chad Johnson. I'd get a Chad Johnson jersey one day. I would.
I think I will too. I mean,
yeah,
shit. I'm like out of all 10 of these guys, I'm like now, you know, I'm getting older. I can afford it. I'm not gonna ask my parents for it. Like, all right, why not? All right, so where are we at? Number 4. Number 4.
Yes, sir. No, here we go.
Here we go.
Strap in. Put your seatbelts on, boys.
Guys, this is my first Baltimore Raven in my top 10. Number 4, the ball hawk himself, Ed Reed, bro. Ed Reed's number 4. I wanted to put him higher, but I'm just like, just the way that I love the game. Like, I'm all about like flashy plays. And Ed Reed, like, he's known for not only giving you the biggest hits in the world. Like, he rivals Brian Dawkins as far as hitting you hard as hell. But he's just known for just picking that ball off and dipping, guys. Like, he has 2 of the longest interception returns in NFL history. 106-yard return and 107-yard return. Guys, there's only 100 yards in the football field. Okay? So what does that tell you? He picked that bitch off in the end zone usually. Probably in the back of the end zone, right where the white line is, and ran that bitch all the way back. You know how many players are on the field to get through to even get to your own end zone? Come on now. Ed Reed is a ball hawk, man. I love this guy.
Yeah, he was the best.
He was awesome.
He was the best pick return man. Like nobody will ever return it. If Ed Reed, like, when you throw a pick, obviously you're like, oh shit, we threw a pick. Damn it, the other team gets the ball. When you threw a pick to Ed Reed, you were stressed.
You're sweating because you're like, he's taking it back.
Yes, because you're about to give up 6. Like, it was crazy. There's never been anybody else that I've watched where I'm just like, here comes pick 6. I mean, there were some corners like Champ Bailey was pretty good, but Ed Reed was something else, bro.
It's crazy because, like, I feel like the term pick 6 wasn't invented until Ed Reed came into the league. They were like, oh, he's probably going to get picked and tackled. He'll never get back to the touchdown zone. Oh, wait, this guy does it all the time. He has 1,590 interception return yards, guys. Return yards. Like, okay, there's 100 yards in a football field. That means he probably returned on the football field at least 15. I mean, I'm probably doing the math wrong because I'm terrible at math, but 15 times. Is my math right in that?
No, that's good.
Okay, so that means he ran an entire football field on a pick return 15 times.
And guys, look at the Raven. Like, they went to the Super Bowl twice. I think Ed Reed was on there both times. I can't remember,
Both
but
times. Yep.
regardless, like look at the fucking teams that they took there, bro. It was all defense both times, and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed were young the first time. They were the
Yeah.
leaders the second time. Like they were the guys on that Super Bowl run
Yeah, they
that
were.
ended up winning against the 49ers. Like
And it
crazy.
bothers me because like people will always sit there and tell me because well, defense doesn't win championships.
Bullshit.
I'm a Ravens fan. You tell me that. Okay, both of our teams was basically defense oriented. Like, yeah, we had Joe Flacco doing all kinds of stuff, but if you think about it, okay, we had a kick return
But the
from Jacoby
first one,
Jones. The
the
first one was
first, the
purely
quarterback. Who the fuck was the quarterback? I can't remember his name.
Trent Dilfer. Trent
Trent
Dilfer.
Dilfer. Yes. Like, come on, bro.
So it's
Stop
just
it.
like Ed Reed, man. Like, not only did he have like he had like what 8 defensive touchdowns. Like, okay, that's already ridiculous. But it's just I don't know, man. When you say ball hawk, I can't even think of another person. Like I'm just casually scrolling through all these guys that are just sitting just known for flashy, stuff. I can't think of a single one. I really can't.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, number 4, Ed Reed. I mean, the only thing I feel like there's a little bit of I'm a little upset at Ed Reed because he left us at the end. He went
yeah.
to the Texans, I believe. I could be
The
wrong.
Jets.
The Jets. It was one of those trash teams.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, bro, you could have retired here. I don't know why you left us. We were still. I don't know, but because a lot of those classic players, like they will just want to go somewhere to die for their last, and then New York was just one of those places. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, I just Ed Reed. There's a little bit of saltiness at the end of your career, but for the most part, I love you. I'll forgive you for that. Love you, man. Number 4, Ed Reed.
So, speaking of flashiness, my number 3 might be God tier flashiness right here.
Oof, God.
We have Mr. Michael Vick. Okay. Now,
Ooh,
I'm a Saints fan. Okay. You know I hate the Falcons, but guess what? Guess what?
this was
Comment
wild.
section. I knew about Michael Vick before I knew I was a Saints fan. Okay, let's just put it that way. So, like, this guy was when he was in Atlanta. Like I said, I wasn't really watching the NFL yet. I was more of a college guy, but the Buccaneers. I live in Florida. The Buccaneers are on TV. They play the Falcons twice, so I would see him, and he was on Monday Night Football and all this stuff. Big, 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 big. And it's just like, bro, god damn it. And then if you ever played Madden back then, you know even more about Michael Vick. Like he was the best player ever in Madden back then. But just to have like you see Lamar right now, Lamar doesn't exist without Michael Vick. Okay, none of these running quarterbacks that are like I don't
Yeah.
want to call them running quarterbacks, but obviously like they're outstanding at running.
Mobile.
Yeah. And so that wouldn't happen without Michael Vick. Like you wouldn't be able to do that. And I understand people don't like Michael Vick because of the dogs, but here's the thing, guys. He went to jail, and he's the perfect example of what jail is supposed to do. You go to jail, you serve time for your crimes, and you become a better person when you get out. And that's what he's done. He's on TV. He's awesome. He went to play for the Eagles, and he proved, by the way, that he could throw because he didn't run that much with the Eagles. His stint with the Steelers was weird in the Jets, but like when he came back for the Eagles after being in
Yeah.
jail and he was still like a Pro Bowl quarterback, I was like, yo, this guy. But yeah, that's my guy, Michael Vick, man. Just one of my favorite players ever. I had a little figurine of Michael Vick in my room when I was a kid. It's weird that because my next 2 players are Saints. It's kind of weird that my favorite non-Saint is wearing a Falcons jersey. But hey, it is what it is, guys. All right, leave me alone. Love me some Michael Vick.
I mean, even to today, like 2021, he's still running fast
Yes!
as hell.
Ran a
He's 40 years
4.7.
old, running a what? 4.7?
Yeah, it's faster than like Mac Jones and like a lot of these guys.
Like, dude, it's crazy. It's just like Lamar. I feel like Lamar. Like he even said in the interview, Lamar Jackson was all like, He was my inspiration. He was my role model, Michael Vick. And then look at all the records that he's trying to break, Michael Vick. So it's just like,
Right.
man, phew, what a guy.
But I will say though, Lamar Jackson, man, because he got to prove that these type of quarterbacks can win a Super Bowl. Because Michael Vick couldn't do it, and there
Yeah.
hasn't really been another one besides Michael Vick. Like we don't see this type of quarterback very often. there's a difference between mobile and being like mobile.
Yeah.
You know, like Patrick Mahomes is mobile, but like Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick are like
Run first,
now
throw second.
they're mobile, and they're also going to juke you out your shoes, and they're also going to sprint away from you. So,
Yeah,
if
man,
he can win, do it for the fast boys, Lamar. Come on.
yeah, he's got his glass full. I mean, I'm gonna let him do that because I don't want to jinx him coming up this season. Yeah, so we're in the top three. Now we're getting the top three. So you said Michael Vick was your third top
Mm-hmm.
three. This guy that Spitz already had him on his list, but I had to put him higher just because 2007. Okay, I was in high school. I'm old. I told you guys I'm old, and this is when I
Sheesh.
started. This is when I started trying to play football. I was trying to actually get into my high school team, and I was actually going out there and working out and actually playing the game. And there was nobody that I modeled my like, because I wanted to be a tight end because I was a little bit bigger guy back then. I wasn't tall, but I wanted to catch. And there was nobody that I watched more than this guy right here, Randy Moss. Like back in 2007, this was the guy. There was nobody that came close. He had the what, 23 most touchdowns in a season. I mean, he had the most receiving touchdowns in his rookie season, and it was crazy to even talk about him. Like, you got Moss, the mooning, everything, bro. Like, he was probably the most exciting player in NFL history as far as a wide receiver go. I would say even more than Chad and Terrell. Like, Randy had the numbers to back it up as well. Um, Man, it's just like he was a fireworks show the day he showed up. From the day he went into the Vikings
Yeah.
to the day he left. And then he was like, "Well, he's washed up. You know what? Patriots, you can take him." Nope, here's another 23 touchdowns. Like, this guy was 6'5", 210. Like, he's a big, tall guy. He had crazy body control. Like, it's just, man, it's just this guy. I wanted to be him, man. I wanted to be the white Randy Moss, and I just, obviously I'm not 6'5", but it's just like I wanted to
Right.
catch like him. I wanted to reach up over someone's head and catch it. And it's just like you got Moss. You split the defense. Like, everybody wanted to do it. And it's just like, man, he's my favorite wide receiver of all time. Number three.
Yeah, for sure, man. What a legend, bro. Imagine Jeff trying to be Randy Moss.
I
Like,
mean,
look at Jeff right there. Look at him. Look at him right there. And then picture him being Randy Moss. But hey, you gotta have idols, bro. You got to.
I mean, if I'm gonna play in today's world, like, with my current body and everything, I'm probably gonna be a safety. I would
Yeah,
think. Maybe.
I'd be on the bench.
Probably on the bench, especially if we're talking like, I don't know, if we had like a pickup game and we just had like a bunch of our YouTube and Discord boys. I don't know.
hmm
I feel like I can hit pretty hard. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe one day.
Um. All right, we're in the top two, man. This is prime time here. We are at the end. My top two are both Saints players. Number two, though, Mr. Jesus Christ himself, Drew Brees.
Jesus
Started
Christ.
watching the NFL in 2006, and I didn't know who Drew Brees was. We'll talk about why I started watching the NFL in the next one, but I didn't know who Drew Brees was. I didn't know anything about him. Barely knew anything about the Saints, and this man just showed up here, and I mean, that was such the timing, because Hurricane Katrina was the year before, and the Saints were playing in like San Antonio or something like that, and they bring in Drew Brees and Reggie Bush and Marcus Colston, all these guys that nobody really knows besides Reggie Bush, I guess, and Sean Payton, and you had that first home game against Michael Vick, by the way, who we just talked about, and you get the blocked punt, and it's just like the stadium's going crazy, and it just built from that moment on. In 2006, we got to the NFC Championship game against the Bears, and we lost by a field goal. We should have won that game. Then we have 2 years of kind of Then we get to the Super Bowl and we win. And so to take a laughing stock franchise like the Saints, literally, guys, if you look up NFL history, the Saints, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, before Drew Brees got there, they were the worst franchise in NFL history, like win to loss ratio wise, I think. And then Drew Brees shows up, and they're like one of the best for the next 20 years, 15 years, whatever.
Crazy.
And you just look at all the records that he has. I mean, come on. He's number one in passing yards. Well, for now, by the way, because Tom Brady's still going. But he's number one in passing yards. 12 straight 4,000-yard season, guys. And just so you know, Peyton Manning had 14 total. Drew Brees had 12 in a row. He's the only player with multiple 5,000-yard seasons. With 5, there's been 7 total in the NFL. One of which, by the way, is Jameis fucking Winston. And the other one I'd have to imagine was probably either Matt Stafford or Mahomes. I'd have to look it up. So yeah, 5 out of the 7 5,000-yard seasons go to Drew Brees. Number 1 in total completions. Most consecutive games with a touchdown pass. It was like 54 or something like that. He lost it against the Rams. I remember that game. It pissed me off. Because Tom Brady was doing it too at the same time, by the way. They were having a competition. When Drew Brees had 54, Tom Brady had like 51. And Drew Brees lost it, and I was like, shit! But then Tom Brady lost it right before he got to 54. So, second in total touchdowns to Tom Brady. Number 1 in completion percentage for your career. 67.7% for your career is like impossible, by the way. So yeah, I mean, one of the GOATs, the best player to ever put on a Saints uniform, probably ever, and it probably will never change. And I mean, what else do I need to say? I mean, shit. Like the guy not only is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but he literally transformed an entire city. Nobody really talks about this, but like the Saints were fucking bad. Like, you guys have to understand. They were on the verge of getting sold. They were on the verge of not existing in New Orleans anymore if they didn't get good quickly. Like, the Benson family was talking about, I swear to God, you can look it up. San Antonio was on that ass, boy. They were trying to have an NFL team in San Antonio, and the Saints were on the radar because they were so bad and they weren't generating any money. So he fucking saved the franchise and then won a Super Bowl and then kept them relevant this whole time. And now, even now he's retired, you look at the Saints as, like, look at Russell Wilson, for example. The Saints are on his target list. That never would have happened 20 years ago. No shot. So, like, the Saints are a relevant franchise now because of one fucking guy. That's crazy.
Ooh, all right. This one might make me a little emotional. No, the first one's going to make me emotional. The second one's going to be like, this one is right here. Guys, if I ever wanted to be a running back, it was going to be to model my game after this man right here. And not only did he do it in style with those nice powder blue jerseys, true. Man, he had the stats and the records to back it up too. My man, this is when I refer to this nickname right here, I'm not talking about Lawrence Taylor. I'm talking about LaDainian Tomlinson, LT, man. 6-time All-Pro, NFL MVP for 2006. He has so many records, it's stupid, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, he's probably the best running back in the 2000s, okay? Like, when you thought of one of the best running backs in the 2000s, you cannot tell me it wasn't LaDainian Tomlinson, okay? Not only, okay, I was just, like, messing around here the other day, just looking at all the records he has. Right now, he has 58 records. Sheesh. 58. And I'll just do a couple of them just to give you an idea of his greatness, because a lot of you guys probably weren't watching football yet. You probably were just running around in your diapers.
But like the Drew Brees of running backs.
It was ridiculous. So he's got most single season touchdowns, 31. Most single season rushing touchdowns, 28. Most points scored in a single season, 186. Most points scored in a single calendar month, 78. Most touchdowns scored in a 5-game stretch. Most touchdowns scored in a 6-game stretch. I could go on. I could keep going. But this guy, most consecutive games with 3+ rushing touchdowns. Ooh,
how many did he have in a row?
Tomlinson. How many did he have in a row?
What's that record?
Which one?
The 3 touchdown.
3+ touchdowns in a row?
Yeah.
3.
Are you fucking kidding me?
But listen to this one though. The next one's crazier. Most with 2+ rushing touchdowns, 8 in 2006. So he had at least 2 rushing touchdowns, 8 games in a row.
That's crazy, bro.
2006 was his year. Okay, his year.
It was. I remember that year.
And
like I said, that was the first year I watched football. So
yeah. So I watched 2006, and then I watched, I think it was the Colts versus Bears. I think that was all in the same year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That was my first year. So, man, and then anytime I wanted to play in the backyard, I was going to put on my number 21, boom, and then anytime I score a touchdown, you bet your ass I'm doing one of these, boom. Like, you put your hand behind your head, and you flip that bitch, and then you just felt so cool, man. Like, I don't know, LaDainian Tomlinson was just great. I know there's a lot of other running backs that you guys probably like, well, man, Derrick Henry's better, Dalvin Cook's better, Alvin Kamara's better, Reggie Bush is. Look, guys, we're not
That's
talking
cap.
about who's better, but I'm just saying he's my personal favorite. Okay, he did it for me. He was my guy. Everybody has like their running back that they love, and LaDainian Thomas is my guy.
Yep.
And now I gotta watch him on, I think it was like the ESPN or NFL show, and it's just like, man, get the hell back on the field. And I know you still got some. I know you still got some, bro. Go break some more records, please. Come on, LT. He is the LT, okay? Number 2.
All right, boys, we're at the finish line, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to reveal our
I might cry on this one, bro.
individual favorite player of all time.
I might cry.
Guys, this ain't rocket science. You've been knowing this by now. Got this shit on my wall right here. So I started with college football. My dad and I used to watch college football, Notre Dame. He was a diehard Notre Dame fan. So I would watch the games with him. And, they play USC every year. And so Reggie Bush played for USC. And not only did they play Notre Dame, but USC was on TV like every fucking week because of Reggie Bush. And if you're young and you think that Reggie Bush is like a meme or something because he was a bust in the NFL, do yourself a favor and go watch some USC highlights real quick. Okay? Then you'll understand why he was drafted number 2 in the NFL draft. We just talked about this. Do you pick running backs in the You do if it's Reggie Bush. I don't care that he didn't pan out. You pick him. Go watch the highlights and tell me you wouldn't. Because he was a receiver, a running back, a kick return. He did everything. He was the most electric player probably ever in NCAA football. So he enters the draft. And I'm watching the draft again with my dad. And these are fond memories, by the way. If anybody doesn't know, my dad passed away in 2019. So anytime I think about like watching the drafts and stuff, it's really awesome. But we watched it, and the Texans had the number 1 pick, and they drafted, I believe, Mario Williams. You might be thinking, who? Exactly. It's the Texans, though, so who's surprised? And so I'm like, wow, because I thought Reggie Bush was going to go to the Texans. Duh, it was Reggie Bush. I didn't know anybody else. I didn't know that running backs were not supposed to go high in the draft. I didn't know that. And then, they drafted Reggie Bush number 2 to the Saints. And I was like, wow, I kind of know the Saints a little bit from, watching the Bucs games on TV because we live in Florida and that's who they show on Fox every week. So I was like, wow, I'm going to watch Reggie Bush play for the Saints, I guess. And so, you start doing your research and whatnot. And I bought Madden. I bought Madden 06 or 07, whatever year that would have been, to like learn about football and stuff during the off season. And I mean, dead ass. Reggie Bush is the only reason I might have fell into the NFL eventually, but Reggie Bush is why I'm a Saints fan. Reggie Bush is why I got to experience that 2009 Super Bowl. Reggie Bush is why I'm like a lifelong diehard fan for the rest of my life. And that's why I have his signed jersey on my wall, because he might not have been Barry Sanders like he was supposed to be. He might not have been as good as he was supposed to be ever. I don't know. There's no other way to put it other than he quite literally changed my life. I don't know what else to say. That's literally I wouldn't know anything about the NFL. I would never have maybe played Madden. Then I wouldn't have a Madden YouTube channel. I wouldn't have a football podcast. I wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have any of this if Reggie Bush didn't exist. So there you go.
Oof.
That was rough.
That was good.
Rough.
That was good.
I kept it together pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That was a rough one.
All right. Let me see if I can hold it together. Because I get pretty emotional when I talk about this man.
Yeah.
Guys, you know me. Okay, you know who it is. This is someone who I heard his name before I even knew about football. Okay? My dad, okay, growing up, my dad was huge into football, and I never understood. I would sit on the couch, and I would just look at a bunch of guys wearing tights running around. I didn't understand any of it. But he would just sit there and watch football, and I'm like, what makes him so what makes I wanted to know. I was like, because like that's the only way to bond with my dad. I'm like, I want to watch football. I want to understand it. And he would just always say the same name, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis. Watch Ray Lewis. Look at him. Watch Ray Lewis. So I did. And it's just like, man, just the way that he played the game. Oh my God, dude. It makes me want to cry, dude. He's so passionate. The energy that he brings into the game. Like, even if you don't watch football, even if you don't give a damn about football, you want to watch him get his hype. Like, are the dogs in the house? Woo woo woo! Are the dogs in the house? Woo woo! It's game time! Come on, let's go! It's game time! Do the dance! Oh my God, dude! It's just the way that he hyped you up. Like, you didn't like, bro. And it's just like there's so many things that he brought to the game. Like, we can sit here and talk about all the different records he had. Like, he was the only player in the NFL history with at least 40 sacks and 30 interceptions. He was the MVP for the Super Bowl. He won, I think, Defensive Player of the Year twice. He's on the NFL All-Decade Team of 2000s. And we all know about, like, everybody wants to joke around with Ray Lewis, like, man, well, he got indicted for murder, and he had aggravated assault charges. You know what, bro? Like, he pleaded guilty. Like, he pleaded, it was a plea deal. And, like, they actually found the two men in Atlanta that were responsible for that. So, please, when you say Ray Lewis, do your research on Ray Lewis, please, because like there was two guys in Atlanta. They're the ones, okay? He was an accomplice, okay? He didn't do anything. He just messed around. He was with the wrong crowd at the wrong time.
He didn't want to snitch on the boys. That's all.
That's all it was. So don't call him a murderer. He's not. Please don't disrespect my Ray Lewis, okay? But guys, it's just like everything that he did to the game, like, he made me want to watch. I didn't even, like, he is probably the literal reason what made me watch football. Like, yeah, we can talk about my dad telling me to watch this guy, but it's just like I wanted to know. I wanted to watch Ray. I wanted to see why he cared about this game so much. And then I'm starting to do research on Ray Lewis growing up. Like, where did he get the number 52 from? Why number 52? You know why he got number 52? So his mom was always being abused by I guess her boyfriend or whatever. So Ray Lewis, he said the reason why he got into football was well, this is how he got strong. Okay, so he would have a deck of cards, 52. There's 52 cards in a deck. He would pick one, flip it over, and that's how many push-ups he would do. Oh, 2 of hearts, 2 push-ups. Oh, you got Jack, 10 push-ups. And that's what he did. That's how he got strong. So 52, it's the 52 deck of cards. That's why he got his number. And then just like the speeches that he would give. If you want to hear a great speech, go watch the opening to Madden 13, okay? So like that speech alone, like you're not going to even want to play the game. You're just going to want to keep replaying the speech over and over. Guys, I mean, like, he's known for the hit stick master. He's the one that brought the hit stick function in Madden 2005. He was the cover of Madden 2005 and Madden 13. I could sit here and talk about him all day. But at the end of the day, I honestly, if it wasn't for this man existing, maybe my dad never talked about him. Maybe I never got interested. Maybe I wouldn't be a Ravens fan. Maybe I wouldn't understand what it means to get it hyped up for a game. Maybe I wouldn't know what a hype means. He is the hype man. When you think of the best hype man in the NFL, it's Ray Lewis. I'll wait. Go ahead and go into the comments section and tell me, hey, if I had to have one guy hype me up before an NFL game, if I had to hear a speech from anybody, it's Ray Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Man.
Drew Brees was good at it too, but Ray Lewis was like next level. Drew Brees always had that huddle thing where they like get the boys together and he would just start like yelling and like I could never really fully understand what he would say, but he would just be like,
don't you dare sit there in the comments section and be like, oh, I want Jameis Winston talking about, let's eat a win, and like, no,
let's eat a win, eat some crab legs, boy.
Nothing came close to Ray Lewis's dance. It got to the point where people were mimicking it because it was so damn iconic. OBJ. And there's other people that would do it, man. Like, it's almost like a tribute.
It is. Well, there we go. We put on some honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah.
We're already an hour and 15 in, so I guess we'll just list them. We don't have to go too far in depth about anything. But just so you guys know, other people that we were thinking about for the list. It's a hard list to make. So for me, I had Larry Fitzgerald. Gotta love Larry Fitz. Chris Johnson, CJ2K had one of the best seasons ever. Troy Polamalu, the hair. the jumping, the field goal kick line thing that he used to do,
Sheesh.
the
Yeah.
hard hitting. Him, when he was on the Steelers and Ray Lewis was on the Ravens, those games were fucking awesome. I put Steve Smith on there. You gotta love Steve Smith. He was the tiniest guy, but he had so much heart. I
You had a
put
mouth
Eli
on him too,
Manning.
bro.
He did, and I love the mouth. By the way, I love. Well, pause. I love the attitude sometimes on the field. Um, I put Eli Manning on here. Guys, listen. He gave us 2 of the best Super Bowls ever. Okay, so shut up. Eli Manning's on the list.
This man ended the 16-0 legendary
He did.
2007 Patriots season.
Overall throughout his career, Eli Manning might not have been that great, but let me tell you something right now. If he got to the playoffs, bro, he was next. He was.
There's
in the
nobody
playoffs,
more clutch than Eli Manning.
Exactly, bro. If you let the Giants sneak into the playoffs at 9-7 or whatever, they were tapping your cheeks. I got Richard Sherman on there. Like I said, I love attitude. I love the way he talks. Him versus Michael Crabtree that season was crazy when he
Ripped the chain.
When he broke his chain, and then Crabtree was talking all this mess in the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
You know what? That might have been Jalen Ramsey. Now that we're thinking about it, the ripping the chain.
I think it's
Never
happened to
mind.
both. I think it happened to Ramsey too, and they got into a fight on the field. But I think it happened with Sherman and Crabtree just in some
Crabtree
trash
brought a
talk.
new chain every week. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and Kaepernick is rolling out to the right, and Crabtree is running a little fade into the end zone. He lobs it up, and Richard Sherman just says no. Okay, you were talking all this shit. You're not catching this fucking touchdown. And then the post game interview after that, when he just shit on him. It was one of my favorite post game interviews ever. Richard Sherman just shits all over Michael Crabtree for talking all that mess. When he's like, and he was right, by the way. Michael Crabtree ain't shit, and I'm the best. And he proved that every single week that Michael Crabtree wasn't shit because he wasn't, and Richard Sherman was the best because he was. Let's see who else. I got Marcus Colston on here. Shout out to Marcus Colston being like a 7th round pick and being like the best receiver in Saints history. Unless Michael Thomas is here for a long time. Put Patrick Willis on there. Very similar to Ray Lewis, is hard hitting as fuck, bro. Loved watching Patrick Willis. I got Eric Berry on here. I liked watching Eric Berry in general, and then his comeback from cancer was awesome. And then I got Alex Smith on here because everybody hates Alex Smith for no reason. And I wanted to show him some love, and he came back on his bionic leg and made the playoffs and all that stuff. And so, yeah, those are my 10 honorable mentions that didn't make the list.
All right. I got mine real quick. I'll start with saying that this guy, even putting him on my list in general, just because of the classic rivalry I have with this team, should tell you guys a lot about how I don't take anything. I mean, I have Chad Johnson, and he's in my top 10. Troy Polamalu, man, like the hair, bro, him jumping the field goals, like, yeah, that's classic, iconic moments. Devin Hester on the kick return in the Super Bowl, my very first Super Bowl that I ever watched, iconic. Terrell Owens standing in the middle of the star with the celebrations. Like I said, he rivals Chad Johnson as far as celebrations goes. I love Terrell Owens. Tom Brady, this is one of those picks where it's like, I hated you for so long, bro. I hated you for so long. But it's just like, now it's just like I'm getting to the point, and especially in my age, and now he's not in my conference anymore. It's just now I'm just watching him in awe. Like, what else can he do? What else are you going to do? And like, just go ahead and beat all the records. How many rings you want? 10? You're at 7. Oh, you want to play until you're 50? Go for it, bro. Like, I'm just sitting here and I'm just trying to take it all in and just recognize greatness. And if you don't think he's the best, you're in denial. Reggie Wayne, I'll just for the simple fact that Peyton Manning and the Reggie Wayne connection. I know Marvin Harrison, but I just loved the Reggie Wayne connection even more. Larry Fitz, more because Larry Fitzgerald in that Super Bowl versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Love Fitzgerald, man. Just classic moments right there.
Then
Drew Brees.
there was that game against the Packers.
Oh yeah, dude.
That went to overtime or whatever. Fitz was just dominating them.
Yeah, it was Larry. Like he's kind of old now. He's kind of washed up. We don't want to say it, but he had some great games. Just go watch some highlights because you guys probably don't remember. Drew Brees. I mean, I don't want to sit there and take all the Drew Brees and Reggie Bush. I do have them on my honorable, but I think Spitz did plenty of talking about those two guys. CJ2K, Chris Johnson, and Brian Urlacher. He's the only guy that I could think to even sniff Ray Lewis's greatness as far as linebackers go.
Big bald ass.
Big bald white guy. Luke Kuechly, I mean, he's good too. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I like Brian Urlacher more. He was more in my era.
Man, I forgot about Luke Kuechly. He would have been honorable mention number 11 probably.
Number 11. Yeah, we can keep making these
Yeah.
picks, but it's
I
just
mean, we
like we got to
could.
stop after a
I
certain
have
point.
fucking 500 favorite players, bro, but we gotta narrow it down. It's hard. I like a lot of players, man. I love the
Yeah.
NFL.
Ooh,
But yeah, that's it. Look
that
at
was
us.
fun.
That was good. We like having these off topic. We're gonna get back to the NFL. We got the whole schedule planned out, boys. So we are good to go for the rest of the off season. You're gonna start seeing. I think our next 2 weeks are breakout players. We're gonna
Breakout
finish
players.
that up,
Interesting.
and then we have 8 consecutive weeks of division previews. Do each division one by one, and then the preseason hits, guys. I mean, it's as simple as that. And once we get into the preseason and the regular season and stuff, every week is just going to be a recap and, whatever. So,
Yeah.
light work. And it's going to be on its own channel, boys. I'm excited
Oh,
for that.
yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
We're gonna market we're gonna market that so hard. But yeah, guys. Guys, I mean, we talked about our top 10. You let us know what your top 10 is. We're interested in seeing what you guys think, because I mean, me and Spitz are kind of old. We grew up in the 2000s. So it's like maybe you guys have a different, because you guys are growing up, in the between the 2010, 2020, during that time. So it's just like maybe,
Yeah.
give us your list. We want to hear it. Just to compare, because like obviously, there's some great players playing right now, okay? And obviously we didn't put a lot of those guys. I don't think we put a single one that are like now good right now, like for example, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, stuff like that.
Yeah, not really. I almost put Julio on there, to be honest with you, but I didn't
Gronkowski
want
we
to.
missed, but I mean, there's just some big names that we couldn't put in our list, and it's hard because it's just between all the factors when you're trying to think about your favorite players, like you're thinking about like what connects you as a person, what
Yeah.
hits that heart bone right there, like what makes you pull those strings for you, like what makes you so passionate, like what guy made you want to go out there and play football when you were a kid. That's the kind of factors that we were thinking about. So you
Right.
guys let us know. Hit the like button if you liked our list, or like it if you didn't. We want to, guys. We know it's all love, guys. But yeah, hit the like button, hit the sub button if you haven't already. You want to say any last words?
No, just appreciate you boys and girls. I'm sure there's got to be at least a couple that watch.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, like you said, leave us your comments down below, your favorite players of all time. And keep your eyes on Twitter, Discord, and my community tab page on my channel for when we have the podcast channel launched. So you guys can be the first ones to subscribe over there. Because yeah, it'll just help us out a lot. Like these podcasts get drowned out by the Madden videos and stuff, and it's just like the way YouTube works, very confusing. But it's better to just have your own separate channel for different things. So here it is. That's why people have like 84 different channels, because they got to put all their different shit on different channels, because it doesn't work that way. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. And we think that it's going to help us out a little bit better. So yeah, every single Wednesday is still going to be the schedule. And but since you're here right now, subscribe to my man Jeff real quick. And then after that, go subscribe to our other channel. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, guys. So yeah, that's gonna be it for us. Thank you guys for supporting, and as always, until next time, guys. Peace out, guys.
Peace.